since I was a little kid, like not even that. Since I was old enough to start getting my haircut on my own and not have mom or dad take me to the barbershop, my hairline's always pushed back. For a minute, I didn't get a haircut, probably 6, 7 months, and I kind of had it back.
I know why it gets pushed back, because it grows backwards.
Right.
That's why.
I don't know what to do at this point other than drive further for barbers. So
I have an idea. You cool with me cutting it down?
listen, I have no idea what I want. Do what you think's gonna look good. Do what you want to do. You have free reign.
Perfect. That's done.
All right, so today we're gonna be fixing this pretty bad pushback. It's pushed back a good half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna start by combing out his hair. And I could tell he needs a wash, mainly conditioner. A lot of people think you just need to wash your hair. It's not really about that. With afro hair, it's about conditioning, moisturizing, feeding, nourishing the scalp. That's what I noticed he needed. So I'm gonna start by just cutting it down, knocking it all down to one level. That way the pushback will be easily kind of like blended in. And I told him I understood why he got pushed back. I understood why. Most barbers don't, when they see hair like his in the front, you guys can kind of see it grows backwards. So typically most people's hair in the front, it grows forwards, but his grows backwards. So I can understand how a barber can see that and say, oh, I'm gonna just start up where the hair kind of lays. I can get that. I understand. And immediately I knew a bald fade would look best on him just because he's got the head shape for it. And these are typically the best cuts to kind of blend in a receding hairline because it takes attention away from the hairline and kind of focuses it on the fade, if you get what I'm saying. So that's why I went with this. And his hair texture, you can see it's very spaced out. So you definitely have to be very thorough when you're fading. You can't just kind of let it blend itself. This is not the hair texture that kind of like blends itself. You really got to go in there, use your corners. You see how I'm kind of tilting the blade different ways. This is the hair texture where you're going to really have to do that. And I talk a lot about not having a system. This is where a system won't work. Because usually I go like with a one open, but here I knew the one open won't work. So I'm just gonna start with my one close. So I don't really agree with having a system that you use on everyone. I'm not for that, I don't promote that. Your job as a barber is to make people look good. You can't copy and paste the same techniques. One, you can't copy and paste the same hairstyles. So if you're not gonna copy and paste the hairstyles, how are you gonna copy and paste the techniques to achieve the hairstyles? You can't, you shouldn't. Unless you're giving the same haircut out to everyone, then you can, but even then, nah, I'm not for that. So here's where I kind of use the open and I'm like flicking. And to get started on the back, same thing, I'm gonna space it out a bit more. He has a very prominent head, So at different reference points on his head, it's very prominent. It kind of comes out more. So with that, you want to make sure it's extra blended and extra stretched so that, it'll look blended when his head is in the neutral position. But what if he puts his head back a little bit? Will it still look blended? Probably not. So you want to stretch it so that it'll look blended in all positions, however his head's gonna be, And I left the hair at the bottom just because I knew if I went with like a harsh guideline to start, it was gonna be the worst trying to get it out. So I went just kind of, even now I'm still being careful not to create a new guideline. So I went with my trimmers, and then I took these are pretty much just like trimmers, just a tad bit softer, and you can kind of flick more with them just to blend out the very bottom of the fade. The trick to a fade is gradiency. Sometimes I'll see a haircut where it's like, it's faded, sure, but there's no gradiency, meaning the bald line is all the way up and then it's faded. That still won't look right. It's best when it's bald just at the very bottom. You see, this is a bald fade, but the only part where it's really bald is near his ear. Anywhere below his ear, that's bald. Anything above that, it's not bald. It's skin, but it's not bald. That's how I like to think about it. So I went ahead and washed his hair. Didn't show the clip of it. I washed it, put some foam in it just to lay it down. As you can see, we got all the flakes out. We hydrated it with some conditioner. And then I'm gonna add just a dash of hairspray. And I'm gonna get started on his line. The key to this one is just keeping it where it's at. And like I said before, he has a tricky hairline because it grows backwards in all directions. So it's not gonna look the sharpest at first. So that's why I said I understand why barbers push it, because they probably think, all right, it's not that sharp, and his real line must be a little bit back. And before I add enhancements, I like to make sure any blemishes that I see is just blended out. That way I don't get mixed up with what's paint and what's actual hair. The enhancements I use, it is designed for hair and skin. That's all it really is. It's semi-permanent paint that is specifically designed for the skin. So it's safe for the skin. I've never had a client that had a bad reaction to enhancements. I've had clients that told me they don't like enhancements because their previous barber, it gave them a bad reaction. But me personally, I haven't had that yet. And I'm sure I will one day. I mean, I have clients that have bad reactions to hairspray. Their skin gets irritated. So again, the importance of not having a system. You see, when you don't have a system and you more so just have techniques. You have different techniques. That's what I like to call it, not a system. A system is just it's too copy and paste. It's too robotic. you want to be more fluid. In an industry like this, being a hairstylist, a hair artist, you got to learn to be more fluid. Work with what you're given, work with what you have, work with what's presented to you, the canvas that you're presented with, and making something out of nothing. That's what it's all about to me. So shout out Easy Blade. We're using my Easy Blade razor. How we looking, bro?
Wow. Holy sh**. Yeah, it's dope.
Pretty satisfied.
It's
So this is how my client came in, and this is how he's leaving. This might be the save of the decade. Crispy. It's your boy 4 and I'm out. Peace.